Here, what's up, chat? Happy trade day. The deadline is over. Happy Thursday, man. What an eventful NBA trade deadline. It's always very fun. Today, this year, even more fun. Lakers silent. Nets were not. Nets. Harden, Ben Simmons, Porzingis for Dinwiddie. Montrezl Harrell to Charlotte. That'll be fun. A fast-paced center to join a fast-paced team and already no defense. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. There we go. Now we got the chat working. For some reason it wasn't working yesterday. What up? Mia Moore, Skimmer, Justin Brooks, Robert Josh Redfoot, and Chris Smith, man. How are you guys doing? How'd you guys do last night? I can't eat it now. Sorry. I know I can't. I'm live. I can't eat for. So if you want them, you can have them. They're gonna be crusty in 2 hours. Anyway, where was I? Last night, how'd you guys do last night? LaMelo Ball led the league in fantasy points, barely edging out Pascal Siakam, 60 and a quarter, which means Raj sent me $50. Dinner was on him. Appreciate that. If you want to make any more dumb prop bets, you know where to find me. I always win. I always beat Raj in those things. D'Angelo Russell and Patrick Beverley, Anthony Edwards, all those cats were questionable throughout the day. D-Russ ended up being the 5th highest fantasy scorer on the slate. 29, 4, and 10 from him. Vucevic, 54 and a quarter. We talked about how he had averaged the most per minute production while on the court with Levine and DeRozan, but you couldn't really gone wrong with any of those cats on a slate like this. I had not so much a bad beat, but an unfortunate decision for me in my single entries on FanDuel, where I had Alexei Pokusevski in my lineup when I entered the contest. And then I was debating between him and Greg Brown, the backup pick for the short-handed Portland Trailblazers. And I figured Pokusevski would probably be in line for minutes because all of their bigs were out and they had waived Diakite. But I went Greg Brown, and so I went from cashing nicely. I cashed nicely, but I would have swept all of my single entries by 10 to 20 fantasy points if I didn't make that swap. So it stings just a little bit more, but it's fine. Today is today. Tomorrow is a new day, and today is tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. What up, Craig? What up, Renza? About to drive and listen, playing Washington instead of waiting for Winslow hurt me. Oof. Yeah, Trent Siakam locks. Yeah, the slate tonight's slate looks pretty nice. Obviously, there's a lot of trades and a lot of dust to settle. There's not a ton of trades that impact tonight's slate massively, but there are some spots. Obviously, the Wizards are a way different team right now than they were an hour ago. While we were doing the PrizePicks show right before this, stuff was happening, and I'd gone in depth on Spencer Dinwiddie real point props and stuff like that, and that has changed. But we will go back game by game now that the deadline is over, try to process what we're working with, and hopefully make some EV decisions on what to expect tonight, and probably carve out a pretty good player pool, and hopefully we make a lot of money tonight. That's the plan, right? We will recap a couple of the big trades here, I guess, if you guys want to. The marquee ones, obviously Porzingis just getting dished away for Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. That was interesting. Moses Brown just got released by the Mavericks. Celtics traded for Daniel Tice, giving up Dennis Schroeder and his freedom. Bruno Fernando. So Schroeder, he really should have took that Lakers contract. And as much as that's memeable now, Lakers are stuck in an even worse contract. So what can you do? Aaron Holiday, Montrezl Harrell, Spencer Dinwiddie, all traded away from the Wizards. So the Wizards look like they're going to be pretty short-staffed tonight, and against the Nets team, they should be pretty trendy for value. And hey, that's fine with me. Nothing other massive. Derek White joining the Celtics. They traded away Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and a first-round pick. Love that pickup for the Celtics. Derek White had been one of the best on-ball defenders in basketball. So joining a Celtics team that in the last month and a half have just been locking and clamping teams up is just that's a scary sight. Really fits well for the Celtics, for in my opinion. Looking at the rest of the wire. Harden for Simmons is something we all kind of expected. It's just a matter of what else the Nets threw in there, and they threw in Seth Curry. So the Nets, I think, have a really fun team, and I think James Harden and Joel Embiid with those pieces will work well too. So I'm excited to see some of these teams develop now with their new look rosters, and I think it'll be a lot of fun in the playoffs because it looks like there's a lot of teams right now that look pretty live, maybe more so in the Eastern Conference. The Nets, I think, got a lot better. Nets obviously have to deal with this Kyrie home road stuff. I think I saw that if the play-in started, they wouldn't have Kyrie, so that's unfortunate, but maybe if they fix that, it won't be as big of a problem. But just full strength Nets looks fun. Full strength 76ers right now look fun. The Bucks, of course, are beast. The Toronto Raptors are getting better. The Miami Heat, everyone just kind of sleeps on them. They're the best team in the East, basically. The Phoenix Suns looking really strong. Golden State Warriors, if they can get Draymond back healthy, and Clay evolves in his minutes, they'll look pretty strong. So I think the NBA is as wide open as it's ever been right now, and it's hopefully going to result in a good product when the playoffs come. But we'll see. No Lakers movement, man. No Lakers movement, but we knew it would be a really uphill battle to move Westbrook's contract, What up, Exit Screaming? Blame Westbrook on LeBron. He's a terrible wannabe GM. Blame Westbrook on LeBron. Maybe. Sure. LeBron didn't give him that money though, right? Also have been an advocate that Westbrook isn't the only problem. That team is just poorly constructed, and without Westbrook, they couldn't beat the Blazers last night. So they got more problems. It's just Westbrook looks like he's going to take the brunt of the blame, because people love to blame something, but it's just overall that team is just very poorly constructed. 76ers, Harden beat all day. I think that's an incredible pickup for them, Kiefer. I think Seth Curry is more important than people think, right? Really good shooter, and a really good piece. So I think the Nets offense definitely gets better. But the 76ers are definitely going to be dangerous, and having somebody that can space the floor a little bit more with Embiid is really valuable. Lakers are atrocious. They're not great. LeBron can get Westbrook right. It's not. I don't know. Westbrook's game, even at his best, he's not like ever was or will be or ever expected to be an efficient 3-point shooter. I just think if you don't have shooters in today's game, you're not going to survive. And LeBron and AD's long range is worse than Westbrook's. He's shooting like less than 20%. So it's just a poorly constructed team. And we can definitely put, like, if you want to believe that LeBron James pressures the GM to make those moves, I don't think that's unrealistic. But just generally, that's just a poorly constructed team. And not many sharps or fans of analytics had pegged them as being able to go the distance. And the other night when LeBron conceded in that post-game conference that they couldn't catch the Bucks with what they got, really made you think that they would at least try to do something, even if it ain't moving Westbrook. Go try and get something on that squad. But they are so limited with assets and what they can do that apparently they did nothing. So not good for Lakers fans. Not good. Anyway, what do we got for tonight? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games to break down. And now that the dust has settled, we can feel a little bit more confident with doing some research now and what we expect in terms of minute rotations. Like I said, the Wizards look like they will be a source of value. A lot of big minutes planted on them. I thought the Wizards line would flip here. They were -3. Last glance, they went -1.5. We'll see if Nets overtake them as road favorites before everything's all settled. We know the Raptors are already big minute teams. They will be without Fred VanVleet, so that's important. Matter of fact, let's just go look at the fan tweet. Key news to watch as of 3 p.m. Eastern. CJ McCollum expected to play. Mitchell Robinson questionable. Cade Cunningham questionable. Nick Claxton questionable. Tyler Hero probable. Eric Gordon questionable. Nerlens Noel questionable. And Grayson Allen probable. Dante DiVincenzo traded behind him. And then, I don't know, maybe Eric Gordon was questionable for a trade, and he hasn't been traded. So there's that. So let's jump into the games here. Game number 1, Memphis Grizzlies at the Detroit Pistons. Your project starting 5 for the Grizzlies: Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Stone Cold Steven Adams taking on Corey Joseph, Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, and Isaiah Stewart. We got 224.5 total, an 11-point spread in favor of the visiting Memphis Grizzlies. This is probably the most lopsided game on the slate, pre and post flop. Pistons, by the way, made a move earlier today for Marvin Bagley, so that's fun. And maybe that'll put some steam on this front court. Maybe Isaiah Stewart to play better. You know what I'm saying? You got that fire lit under you. But for the most part, there's not a ton to like here on the Pistons side. A lot of appropriate price points based on implied ceilings individually, right? Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant. I think there is a little bit of positive ranges of outcomes for Bey and Grant's price point, but I think generally, I got enough love and respect for the Grizzlies defense, and their offense is clicking, especially when Ja Morant is Ja Morant. We've seen Ja Morant drop 30 real points in 3 quarters lately. So I'm probably going to be least exposed to this game, but Ja Morant having a range of outcome to be one of the highest scorers on the slate with 30 real points, certainly something I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to. And then Jaren Jackson has gotten to an appropriate price point on both Fanduel and DraftKings, so we might put him in a tier 3 where he falls. And I'm not really running too much else. Maybe Desmond Bane has some meat on the bone at 6K looking for 30-plus fantasy points, but that's kind of like it. I'm not running to get too much Grizzlies exposure, and then I don't have the warm and fuzzies on anyone specifically for the Pistons. So yeah, I think I loosely, I don't think I get the Cunningham on DK. Maybe there's a chip and a chair on Fanduel price point, but I think we're going to have guys that equal or lesser prices that feel like equal or lesser or greater value. So Pistons looking like a team I don't want to put too much stake in tonight. So I'm not going to have much here. We'll see what you guys got before we move on to the next one. Hustle says Lakers need none back from injury. It's probably going to help them more offensively than maybe like Avery Bradley, but yeah, it's tough. Dameron says, remember 200 likes? Oh, 200 likes and Dameron comes out of retirement. I don't think we're going to get that today. I think there's so many trade shows right now that the viewership will probably be lower than usual. As a matter of fact, I think I saw Osmo was live with over 1,000. So I definitely think, a decent percentage of that would rip away from here. German says, won first in a Yahoo tournament last night. Only won $100, but it's $3 entry. Hey, man, that's ROI. That's good. Congratulations, German. We love that. Thought Grant was getting traded. The Pistons love them some centers, I'll tell you what. But yeah, I think the asking price on Grant was pretty high, and maybe no one wanted to pay it. And sure. Will there be a lot of value with all the trades today, Nate? I think so. I think a lot of the value comes from the Washington situation. It's going to be probably a Raul Neto chalk night. Just looking at what the moves they made, he's 3,100 on DraftKings. No Dinwiddie, no Bradley Beal. Bertans has been traded. So I think the guard minutes will probably be divvied up between him, maybe Corey Kispert, guys like that, Anthony Gill. So I think there's your value there. And then also the Wizards have a very limited front court now, trading away Montrezl Harrell. Daniel Gafford's out. Thomas Bryant's been kind of limited, right? 22 has been his ceiling in terms of minutes, easing him back in. So maybe Rui Hachimura has to stretch out and play a lot of minutes. Maybe Kyle Kuzma has one of those near 40-minute games. So I think there's definitely some value to be had tonight, for sure. Devin Booker too cheap at 89. Yeah, definitely Devin Booker. I think that game's gonna be really fun for real life and for fantasy. What up, Sean? What up, Derek? Listen to this, man. Oh, I appreciate that. No likes, no me. Maybe tomorrow. Darren Tyrell. What up, Tyrell? What up, Josh? KCP and Kuzma finna be 50%. Man, chalk KCP is the scary thing, but just maybe. Kispert a lock, he might be. All right, let's move on to that game. That game certainly, or let's move on to the Miami game. Miami Heat at the New Orleans Pelicans. Projects 25 for the Heat. Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G, Buckets, PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo, taking on Devontae Graham, friend of the channel, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, and Jonas Valanciunas. We got 217.5 total with a 4.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Miami Heat. Heat have definitely been a team you don't want to pick on. They come into town, they run one of the league's lowest paces while clamping them defensively while they are full strength. They have the third lowest pace in basketball and defensive efficiency. They are top 8, 108.1 points per 100 possessions. But think about how many of that in the season standpoint is without Butler here, without Adebayo there. So I think when they're fully healthy, they have a real chance to be a top 4 defense in the league. So not a lot to go out of my way to want to pick on. And then we're dealing with a Pelicans team that should be featuring CJ McCollum, who they traded for. He's coming in at a pretty strong price, and that's going to be hard to predict his usage, his point per minute production, his point per possession production, alongside an aggressively priced Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas. So I'm hoping that the median range of outcome for this is that the Pelicans are probably priced to where they normally would cannibalize each other, especially in a tougher matchup against the Heat. It does have a higher total than maybe most Heat games feature, but a lot of that is, I guess, because of how good offensively the Heat can be, and you just don't know what to expect from the Pelicans as an offense here. It'd be interesting to see if they run McCollum more at the point than Devontae, because I do think Devontae should be better apt as a shooting guard, just to take some threes here. So something to watch there. Definitely want to see how they play, and then it can't be too results oriented from the Pelicans after today because of the matchup against the Heat. But we might get some answers in terms of early usage rates and stuff like that. But this is their squad going forward. On the Heat side, looks like Tyler Hero is expected to play. If he's expected to play, it certainly could impact the expected upside on the Lowry of a Butler. But I wouldn't ignore Lowry or Butler, especially on FanDuel. Kyle Lowry's at $5,400. That's a $1,300 discount to his DraftKings price point. And that's a price point where you get me 30 plus fantasy points. That dog will hunt. And I think 30 plus fantasy points is a realistic expectation, especially against this matchup against the Pelicans. Pelicans have been a porous matchup to point guard. So Lowry at 5,400, something I can get behind. I'm getting about 33, 34 fantasy points. That's my early projection on him at 31 minutes. So give me some Lowry. Jimmy Butler, 9K on both sides. He does have 50-point potential. Is he going to be our favorite 9K price point? Probably not, but definitely think he has as much upside as many others. I just think his floor is a little bit more volatile. And the same with Bam Adebayo, 9.4, 9K. I need 50 plus fantasy points. And at 9.4, 9K, that's money for Pascal Siakam, right? Siakam without VanVleet against the Houston Rockets is just going to be probably the more lucrative click pre and post flop. So that's where I'm at there. So I'm not gonna be too invested in this game, but I do think Kyle Lowry on FanDuel has a shot to be high tier 2 for me, and then everything else is kind of tertiary, especially Butler, Adebayo, and Tyler Hero at 6'4", 6'2". I need 30 plus fantasy points. Feel like I'm getting a good deal, and even then it's just not like a slate breaker deal. So I think I'm chilling on the Pelicans. I do think J-Val individually is too cheap, and if he has a bad game here, maybe he comes down even more on the 7K price point, and they get a better matchup, and I can attack it. But for the most part, right now, I'm leaning away. And then also keep an eye on, do they move Herb Jones back to the 4? Did they move Jackson Hayes back to the bench? Something like that. That's what I have projected right now. Or do they move Devontae to the bench? We'll see. Yeah, Holiday got traded too. They have very, very little depth. Let me see if I can turn this off. So, dot. Dinwiddie gone. Yeah. Braun going back to Cleveland now. Maybe. I would like to see him. I don't know. I would like to see him finish, maybe in Cleveland, with his son, but be kind of I don't know how to say. I don't know. I got love for Kobe, right? I don't think LeBron leaving the ship, the sinking ship, would be the best optic. And I don't know if he cares about that, but I don't know. I would play out the contract, go from there, unless it was just like a mutually beneficial situation. Does Neto get the start now? I would assume Neto starts. They don't have many bodies in that depth chart to lean on, so we might get a situation similar to what we've seen with the Trailblazers the last couple nights, where their rotation is just very, very thin, and we can plan a lot of minutes on them, right? VanVleet is out. Might have to play some Scotty Barnes. I think every Raptor is absolutely in play today. Gary goes off with no friend. We love Gary Trent. Gunn, does Neto get the start now? Yeah, I'm assuming so. If you look at what is actually available for the Wizards tonight, Neto, that's probably it. Like KCP, Corey Kispert, all these guys probably start Denny Avdija. So I would anticipate Neto to be the starter, and with very little depth, he probably is implied for well over 30 minutes. And we'll get to that game next, and we'll run some queries here, but I don't think we're gonna have sample size to feel great. We just have to appreciate that Neto's $100 above min price on DK and just let it ride.
Bing bong,
bing bong. That turned the volume down between streams. The last stream that scared the ever loving out of me. Gamron with the $1. Appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't adjust it. There's no min, there's no max. I guess there's a min, but it's not on me. Doug says, I'm able to get Giannis, Luka, and Irving in all of my lineups on FanDuel. This slate's going to be crazy. Oh, man. Rui run 34 minutes tonight? Yeah, definitely possible. Let's talk about that game. I definitely think this is going to be one of the more pivotal games on the slate. Nets up against the Wizards. Project starting 5 for the Nets. Kyrie Irving, Patty Mills, DeAndre Bembry, Kessler Edwards, maybe. Nick Claxton, maybe. Up against Raul Neto, Corey Kispert, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and Thomas Bryant. Both teams part of the trade festivities in the last couple of days, if you will. And also the Nets are without quite a bit of players today. We've got Joe Harris still out, Kevin Durant out, and LaMarcus Aldridge out, part of the team before today. And then of course they traded away James Harden. It is a road game, so they get Kyrie Irving back in the mix. He'll be joining Patty Mills as probably the biggest catalyst in this offense succeeding or failing. And then Nick Claxton is questionable. If he can't go, might get some Daron Sharp. You might get Blake Griffin, who started against the Celtics. But it seems like most of those guys would be largely insignificant in terms of my personal exposure to them on the slate. Maybe if Claxton was out and we thought Blake could get a decent bit of run, maybe DK's worth a couple shares. But for the most part, bulk of my interest for ceiling from the Nets are coming from Kyrie and Patty Mills, and Kyrie should definitely profile as one of the better plays on the slate for raw points. We'll go pull up the Brooklyn Nets on-off court tool, and for me, this is where the slate starts. Right, the rest of the other games we talked about, really, I don't care about. Lowry on FanDuel, and then we go from there. But this is where the fun starts for me. So let's go pull up the Brooklyn Nets here using this NBA Wowie on-off court tool. We'll put Kyrie Irving on the court. Let's take off James Harden and Kevin Durant. And we'll just, I guess we'll also take off LaMarcus Aldridge. And we're going to get a lot of 30+ percentage on the usage rate and the assist rate. For Kyrie, 31.7% usage rate and a 33.7% assist rate. So on the PrizePicks show, that put me on they had him at 6.5 assists on PrizePicks. They still do. So that puts me on that. And I don't mind the 26.5 real points as well. So those are two numbers to keep in mind. They also have Patty Mills at 14.5 real points. I feel like that's viable, not a lock, but very viable. And most of those would be via the 3 ball. So maybe we get a better line on that. But yeah, like I said, that's the bulk of my interest. If we imply the Nets for 107, 108 real points, I think Kyrie, Patty Mills are big parts of that. And on the Wizard side, they have a puzzle to put together. And I think the answer, what it's going to lead me to, is to get a lot of Kyle Kuzma. So let's pull up this on-off card tool and let's flip it. Rui's going to break the slate. He might. Got Giannis in my lineup. Dang, Josh. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of studs and scrubs action tonight for sure. All right, so let's put Kuzma on the court. That's it. let's just take off everyone that we know represents minutes and usage. So Dinwiddie, Bradley Beal, Montrezl Harrell. Those are the main ones, right? I don't need to take off Bertans for... I don't want to over dilute the minutes because we're barely getting minutes sample size here. But what we do get is a 24% usage rate on Kuzma, 19% assist rate, over a fantasy point per minute for him, and then also for KCP. So maybe I do have to warm up to KCP. It just feels like historically he's such a yucky click. Also getting a 22% usage rate on Neto, which doesn't sound like a lot, but at near min price on whatever site you play on, if 0.8 fantasy points per minute times 35, that might be enough to make that click. And he's probably going to be a stick of glue that gets so many Giannis and Kyrie and high stud lineups. So probably expect a lot of Wizard stacks to be rolling through the field tonight. I want to keep an eye on the spread though, because I guess the Nets aren't really deep themselves. But I would definitely think no Bradley Beal, no Montrezl Harrell, no Dinwiddie. If nothing else, the total should not be maybe as high. Okay, the total's dripping a little bit. Went from 221 to 216, so we lost 5. And then I had the Wizards as 3-point favorites 2 hours ago. Now they're down to 1 and a hook. That's more reasonable. The trade for Montrezl Harrell, they traded away Montrezl Harrell. Daniel Gafford's out, and Thomas Bryant has been starting but playing on a minutes limit. We haven't seen him play more than 22 minutes as they ease him back from his injury. Does that minutes limit stretch a little bit? If it does, I don't think it's going to be that much. I do think it's worth a shot or two against this Nets front court to bank on him, doing well at 3,300. A couple of shots in mass entry, but it does feel like Kyle Kuzma and Rui Hachimura would have to pick up a bulk of the front court minutes here, and we know Kyle Kuzma can go full on fake with rebounds. We've seen him do it a few times this year. 16 plus rebounds isn't a crazy range of outcomes. So Kuzma on DraftKings 7,400, on Fanduel 7,900. I'm gonna have to tweak this, but I'm getting the absolute most insane projection on him. I didn't have time between the PrizePicks stream and this one to do much. I just took out Dinwiddie. I didn't get to impact the Neto. But I got like a 60 fantasy point projection. I'm probably gonna after I'm done tightening that'll probably come down to mid to high 40s. So I just think Kyle Kuzma is in line to be a pretty great play, and I got him for 40 plus fantasy points in my head. In the last couple games for Kuzma, Miami, Phoenix, Philly, Milwaukee, a couple of Memphis, really tough defensive matchups, and in a couple of these matchups he's thrived. These other games got lopsided, so I think if we're getting 4 quarters of Kyle Kuzma in this split, he should lead the team in just about every category, probably lead the team in minutes, and I'm in on that. And then Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, both these guys pretty cheap. I don't have any restrictions on Hachimura like we think we have with Thomas Bryant. So Hachimura is likely to get the most minutes from the Montrezl Harrell trade. Could he get 30 plus minutes at 3,400? Very, very possible. So I'm in on him. There's not many Wizards I wouldn't play. Even Corey Kispert, right? These are uncomfortable names. KCP, I think, will be one of the more trendies. I'm getting nearly 10x on his number, but the Wizards are going to be the source of value, probably the highest owned mini stack or full stacks on the slate just because of the perceived value. And I really can't argue against it. It just makes a lot of sense. So even if you want to run Kyrie at 2 or 3 Wizards and go from there, it definitely saves you plenty of money to jam in some studs elsewhere. So certainly no pushback here. Doug says I'm loading up on Rui, Neto, and Bryant. The only issue, not issue, but I do have some concerns about Bryant too, because I think he is being limited because of that injury. So I don't know. Maybe he is ready to evolve and get some more minutes, but I'm still not sure. I would love to see a quote that makes me feel better about that. But right now, I'm expecting him to have a glass ceiling when it comes to minutes. So I'm not running to get to some Thomas Bryant as much, or at least not as much. Maybe more so on DK than Fanduel. Did they give us Thomas Bryant at 1.5 threes again? That was a line that they had last slate. I thought that was a fun line. I was gonna say, did they even put Wizards lines back up? No, they did not. I'm interested in Kyle Kuzma rebounds if it's under 10. Neto, Kispert, KCP, Kuzma, Bryant starting. All right. Kuzma could outscore Giannis though. I mean, maybe that's a crazy statement, but I guess Kuzma could certainly have a massive game. We've seen him do it a few times this year. You think Kuzma outscores John? Do I think Kuzma out? No, I think that's a I don't want to say asinine, but that's an aggressive statement pre-flop. But I think Kuzma could out value Giannis, and that's not crazy. But I'm not trying to drive a wedge between those two. I'm gonna have an aggressive amount of both. I might end up with more Kuzma just because he's cheaper, but it all makes sense. Gill, yeah, Anthony Gill in the mix as well, but not running to any of that. I think Hachimura, Kuzma, KCP, Neto are the obvious guys you should scoop up. Kispert and Danny and guys like that, they make sense, but they become pretty volatile and largely scoring dependent, right? Any love on a Visa? Not like aggressive, right? If you sprinkle these guys into your pool, go for it. But it seems very rare that we get more than 25 fantasy points. You're just expecting them to have good real life games and a lot of real points. But I guess Aviza's been getting more peripherals than points than I thought. I had him pegged a little bit differently, but realistically, guys, the Wizards are not all scoring 30 and 40 fantasy points. So maybe don't go all in on 4 Wizards. You know what I mean? Kuzma's ceiling is Giannis' floor. I disagree with that. Like it's not likely that he outscores Giannis, but 50, 60 fantasy points. Sometimes, I mean, Kuzma's had some super fake games this year, like super fake. And I don't want me just to end up me spinning Kuzma as like just the most ridiculous play, but Kyle Kuzma most DKP by game log this season. Kyrie fault, Harden got dealt. So Levert, Allen, 7 picks for Simmons, Drummond, Curry, 2 picks. Nets got fleeced. Nah, I think both teams did all right. I think Nets getting a great defender in Ben Simmons, and a great shooter in Seth Curry, and then the Sixers had to deal Ben Simmons. Like I don't really think there's a winner or loser from where we're sitting now. The Sixers definitely had to make a move, and it seemed like Harden wanted out. So it is what it is. 66 fantasy points earlier this season for Kuzma. That came against Charlotte, so yeah, Charlotte will juice it up a little bit. But 50 plus fantasy points is not outlandish for Kyle Kuzma in this split. So yeah. Did someone already make the joke about the Nets trading for another guy who won't take a shot? I'm sure that's been out there. What about Kuzma outscoring Siakam with no VanVleet? I mean, I wouldn't take that either. I I don't know why we're trying to put Kuzma versus these guys. I certainly would like to have Kuzma, Siakam, Giannis in some lineups together, you know. We know Ibaka, who gets more run, Hardenstein or Zubac. I think they probably split if they can help it, but Hardenstein is the immediate backup, and it comes down to foul proneness, right? Drummond was a great add to the Nets, have no bigs. I think he fits the Nets fine. I think Drummond's a great how to say fantasy play, but sometimes for real life it's not as valuable as we think it is. But I think both teams are like great after that trade. So I don't know. I'm not one to immediately run to who won this trade. I think both teams needed to make a move, and that was a move that was mutually beneficial. For the Nets, they got to get over this Kyrie can't play home games obstacle. But they certainly are in a fine spot. If Harden was trying to work his way out the door, I think both teams got better considering what they were pressured to do. You know what I mean? What's up, Terrence?
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Big gunny money. Just wanted to hear "Let's Go Home."
Oh, I changed it, Abel. I changed it. My bad. We changed it because the "Let's Go Home" was getting a little long, and we were getting a lot of donos. So that's a good problem to have. But I appreciate the $2, Abel. Big gunny money. I like that. What's good is a great defender without rim protection. Embiid was the anchor of the defense. You remove the anchor, defense doesn't work that well. That's good. Is a great defender without rim protection. I'm not sure I understand the context of that one. Embiid didn't go nowhere. Allen and LeVert and Dinwiddie was better than that epic fail of Harden and now Simmons, who I think is dead weight. It is what it is. The Nets try to go all in with the super team, and it didn't work. And that seems to be a problem lately. But it's good to see that, right? We get a precedent because for so long, like super teams was killing the league, right? And now we've got two examples of super teams in the last year. Just not working, right? Lakers are failing miserably, and the Nets didn't put it together. But with the Nets situation, they never really played all three together ever. Like they had 17 games, 16 games, something weird like that in 2 years. So it never really had a chance to get off the floor. And I don't know, it is what it is. But it's good for the league to not have a bunch of super teams, right? Instead of big three, we go back to big twos and have some fun. Give me Drummond over Claxton and Blake. That's fair, for sure. That's fair. I would probably want him. I'd want him over Blake. Then Claxton too. I think Claxton's value definitely was high with Harden, just feeding him. So maybe it changed a little bit, but I definitely don't mind that. So Drummond, Durant, but yeah. I also think like Ben Simmons could be a center for them, right? Like he's a big dude. So if Ben Simmons is able to take a starting center job with the Nets, I think that would be the most lucrative spot for him. Is Kelly Olynyk on your radar at all? He wasn't. I got him for 20 plus minutes. He is really cheap. I'll tell you that. I just assumed he was closer to 5K, but 3,700, that is really cheap. Especially considering some of the moves that they had made. And this might be the last chance we get him. I'm also not surprised they didn't move him. I'm getting a really good projection for him. So that would be one of those, the math would have spit that out at me later. But that's a great name to bring up, Doug. I think that's a great call. I didn't realize he was this cheap. 3,700. It's a really nice price for Kelly Olynyk and what his expected contribution fantasy-wise would be. My point is Simmons' defense is overrated without rim protection. I mean, everyone's is, but I don't think that's true. I think Ben Simmons is just a good defender. Obviously, blocks is a big catalyst in people's perception of defense, but I think Simmons is a great defender. I just think he shouldn't be an offensive point guard, which hopefully on the Nets he won't be. And you can have Kyrie, KD, and Simmons as your 4 or 5. I would really like to see Simmons play front court instead of back court. And that's just simple as that. How did Nets not get Thibault or Maxey though? Hey, Seth Curry, I think you guys might be surprised if you start looking at some Seth Curry numbers. He might just be more valuable. And they got some shooters now, right? Lakers don't have shooters, but you get Patty Mills and Seth Curry and Kyrie and KD on a court together. Defense doesn't really matter if those guys are all clicking on all cylinders, you know. Sticking to Lyles minutes. Yeah, if Lyles getting traded away and they got a little bit of an impasse between Marvin Bagley showing up, I think definitely reasonable to suspect 20 plus minutes for Trey Lyles and get that. Simmons is definitely a top 5 defender. I mean, he's been out for a little bit, but I don't think it's I don't know. Ben Simmons defensively, he's a stud, so I'm not gonna knock that. As an expert in this field, Embiid and Simmons was not a basketball fit. I think Ben Simmons as a point guard is just not a basketball fit, right? That was the problem in my eyes. That guy should be power forward center, not point guard, right? If you can't, it's as simple as that. And hopefully that solves the problem. Let's move on to the next game. Raptors at the Rockets. Project starting 5 for the Raptors. Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and Precious Achiuwa taking on Kevin Porter, Jalen Green, Jayshawn Tate, Alperen Sengun, and Christian Wood. Hiccup, 223 total, 7-point spread in favor of the visiting Toronto Raptors. Raptors, night 2 of a back-to-back. Fred VanVleet going to sit this one out. They did pick up Thad Young, by the way, but a fun spot for the Raptors because we know Nick Nurse will plant big minutes on their starters, and I think Siakam, Gary Trent, those are 2 guys I want to get a bunch of. First of all, let's talk about Gary Trent Jr. A couple 30 real point games in his last 10, and a couple of those games coincided with the absence of Fred VanVleet, and we know his double-digit shot volume will be there. 30-plus fantasy points is a floor expectation here, and I would expect 40 plus because of this matchup. I have him for 41 Fanduel points, about 40 DraftKings points, and PrizePicks listed Gary Trent. I think they had him at closer to 30, 33 fantasy points. So I'm bullish on the over there. And they also have him at 21.5 real points. So I might just go ahead and take that fantasy score. One of the great points that my co-host on the PrizePicks show brought up, Josh, was Gary Trent is a defensive stalwart, if you will, averaging almost 2 steals per game. We know the Houston Rockets, man, they will turn the ball over more than any other team in basketball, allowing 9.7 steals per game. So big spot for Gary Trent if you expect 40 minutes of him. Rockets being the fastest pace, worst defensive combo. So anybody that you think could get 40 minutes, 35 minutes against the Rockets is absolutely in play. And I think the Raptors could be core plays for me. Gary Trent Jr. and then Siakam as my favorite 2 options. But if you get to Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, especially on FanDuel, and even if you got into the front court a little bit, Precious Achiuwa, but Chris Boucher, Banton might get some minutes as a rotating guard here. Several very, very viable options. Giving you the specific numbers, let's pull up Trent and Siakam on the court together, and let's take off Fred VanVleet and go from there. Gary Trent Jr. has a 26% usage rate with a 0.9 fantasy point per minute production, while Siakam has a 26% usage rate, a 24.6% assist rate, and over a fantasy point per minute. Again, the Rockets being the Rockets, we can maybe even boost those numbers and boost our expectations if we plant significant minutes on them. So I do like starting lineups for Gary Trent and Siakam on both sides. Maybe DK being the better, the value of the bunch here. The Rockets side, I'm a little bit more skittish on what to expect from the Rockets here. I guess if Eric Gordon didn't play, I thought his Q tag also might have been loosely associated with a potential trade that never did come to fruition. Looks like they just waived DJ Augustine and Armani Brooks. Not super significant. Let's see if I missed anything. I didn't miss anything significant, right? Just the main stuff. So I guess if Şengün's gonna still continue to get this type of run that he's been getting as a starter, yeah, he's got chip in the chair territory. No more Daniel Tice, so maybe he could sneak into 30 plus fantasy points. Never gonna profile as like a great matchup for me. I got respect for the Raptors' size, but a guy like Şengün per minute in and of himself could do well. Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr. None of these guys are gonna be top tier 1 or tier 2 plays for me, but I probably spin them in the tier 3 and hope that they can keep this game close, because Raptors right now 7-point favorites amongst one of the larger spreads on the slate right now, right? What do you guys got in chat before we move on to the next one? Anthony says, living in New York, two of my top 5 disliked players in the NBA are New York, Randall, and Simmons. Yeah, Randall didn't get moved either, huh? With Trey Lyles traded, does that give Isaiah Stewart more run? And if Cade is out, who gets to start, Diallo or Joseph? I think Joseph starts no matter what. It's Diallo or Magruder that you gotta guess. In the last 2 games, I believe it's been Diallo. I think Seth was more valuable to Philly than Brooklyn. Philly shoot themselves in the foot with that part of the trade. Yeah, there was going to be one uncomfortable sacrifice given up by Philly, and I think it came down to Seth Curry or Matisse Thybulle, and I guess Seth was the deal breaker. So, if keeping Seth over Thybulle prevents you from moving Ben Simmons, you just have to make that trade and see what happens. But I get what you're saying though, right? Seth as a floor spacer, based on the rosters, Philly could use that a little bit more than Brooklyn, because Brooklyn would have Patty Mills and Kyrie and some shooters, but I still don't think it was a bad, like, they had to do it, and I still think it benefited both teams. It's still a net positive for both teams, in my opinion, at least. Simmons still has the same talent, that he just lost his confidence in Philly. Yeah, the crowd turned on him real quick. But also, like I think a lot of these Ben Simmons problems go away if he's not the on-ball offensive usage guy, right? If he's just a power forward or a center that can focus on defense, and every now and then, in your back pocket, he can bring the ball up court if he needs to. But let Kevin Durant, let Kyrie Irving do that, and focus on Ben Simmons' strengths, because his strengths are pretty doggone strong. It's just he was in a bad spot as a point guard. Again, that's my opinion. I just think he's way better off as a power forward center that can be above average offensively, but extremely above average defensively. Bucks did good with Ibaka. Yeah, that reminds me of like the PJ Tucker pickup last year, right? Where good little veteran guy in the front court. You could trust him. You don't need to play him deep minutes if you don't have to. That's fine. Imagine trying to be in a chat with Fish if Steven Adams had been traded. Oh, that's funny. Yo, what up, Cheyenne? What deadline? What a deadline. Also, Mavs trip in, and Boston must have pictures of Pop. Yeah, the Spurs being as active as they were this trade deadline was a little bit unusual. But Boston, man, I think Derek White was a good pickup for them. I was wondering if they would just place Marcus Smart as expendable after that, but I guess trading away Josh Richardson and Dennis Schroeder was the move, and they held on to Marcus Smart. And they're not on the slate, but if we pull up the stat muse, right? Boston Celtics defensive rating. Let's go last 12 games. Boston has been playing insane defense. And Derek White is one of the best on-ball defenders in all of basketball. And we know offensively he can contribute as well. So that is, I think, a really not want to say underrated, because I think everyone appreciates that, but it's a massive, massive spot for or massive pickup, I think, that the Celtics maybe get better on defense if you can, you weren't really using Jay Rich that much, and Dennis Schroeder certainly has his weaknesses. Celtics, good move for them, and I think they're in the conversation as well. Like, I've never felt like the league has been this open in terms of who could get hot at the right time in the playoffs and win a championship. And I think the Celtics have really turned it around. And if everyone else is trying to win with offense, and they put together a defense with no holes, man, I'm excited to see that. They might start holding some teams to like 85 points consistently. Point guard Siakam day, or Trent gonna run a little more point guard. So the numbers tell us Siakam does a bit more ball handling with his usage rate leading the team, and his assist rate leading the team, 24% assist rate. Scotty Barnes can also bring the ball up court, and then if Banton gets into the mix, I would assume they go with the lineup that starts Gary Trent at the point guard spot. So what we saw the last 2 games where Fred VanVleet was out, so just kind of expecting that here, right? I wish they flipped Simmons quick, rather have Beal or Sabonis. I mean, Sabonis is gone, right? Not an option, and Beal is whatever. But I think Nets fans are the Nets fans that are sour on Simmons. I think you guys might be pleasantly surprised with what he does for this team, right? You get your offense out of Kyrie, and obviously this is, there's Kyrie home game obstacles, stuff like that. But I think the Nets are going to benefit way more than you guys are giving them credit for. Grayson emerged. Yeah. What happened to Maxey Claybaugh for the Mavericks? Nothing? Or did you mean Tyrese Maxey? He's still on the Nets. Nets won the trade by a mile. Simmons going to be a beast. I don't know. I think it's closer to even than most people think. The Nets, you still got to. How do I say this? Is Ben Simmons in game shape? Could he play tomorrow? I don't know, right? Is there some rust to be worked off? I don't know, maybe. But Harden looked great this year. Joel Embiid's literally the odds-on favorite to be MVP. So you give him a James Harden over a guy that wasn't even in the arena. I don't see how that's a net negative at all. So I don't know. I don't like to get too caught up in who won or lost. I think both teams, for what they needed, did fine. Late, but I'm here. What up? He made it happen. Marcus Smart should be the bench guy now. You think so? Maybe. Would you have traded Harden over Irving too? If James Harden wanted out, and I thought, I don't know. For me, if you don't want to be here, I don't need you here. Is step one. But secondly, if you remember what Harden was kind of strong arming Houston, where it wasn't the forefront, but you knew it was happening and reports was happening, like James Harden not playing last couple games, you just kind of felt like there was a little substance to these reports. So I think it goes more. It's more than numbers and metrics, and do they want to trade James Harden, more so that James Harden wanted out. And not only, like, if he wanted out, the way that their salary thing was set up, like, if he didn't stay, they were gonna get effed on what they could do with their salary cap. So they needed to make a move. If Harden was gonna leave, they needed to make a move. If Ben Simmons is not playing for you, they needed to make a move. Both teams needed what the other player can offer. So I don't know. I think the casual fans are not really appreciating how mutually beneficial this trade actually is from a strong arm standpoint, but also from an on-court standpoint. 224 watching. Yeah, what up, Shadow Dog? They both traded a crybaby for a crybaby. I don't get into all that, man. I just watch basketball. Clippers at the Mavericks. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Clippers. Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Marcus Smart, Nick Batum, and Ivica Zubac taking on Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Dwight Powell. 215.5 star total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks traded away Kristaps Porzingis for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. I wonder if there's more to that trade, or that's a trade I really want to know about. what was behind that. And Tim Hardaway's still out. So just with Tim Hardaway and Porzingis out, we know that Luka Doncic has 1,000,000% usage and 1,000,000% assist rate. And going against a new look Clippers team, recently adding Norman Powell, might expect a competitive game. We ran this number on the PrizePicks show before this. If you guys haven't been checking out that PrizePicks show, it'll get you started for this one. We do some light research, talk about some of our favorite player props, and go from there. And we build off of that and let it evolve throughout the day. But we take Porzingis off the court, and we're gonna take Tim Hardaway off the court as well. Luka's usage rate is 39%. His assist rate 50%. So tying in our love and devotion for PrizePicks, they have Luka at 9.5 assists. My man's essentially averaging a triple-double without Porzingis, so I'm all about some 9.5 assists on the over here against this Clippers team. If you guys want to tail that pick, you certainly are welcome to do it on PrizePicks today. And if you guys want to or haven't signed up for PrizePicks yet and you want an extra way to support the stream, sign up using code GUNDACKER. They'll show me a little bit of love, but they'll also show you some love. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. So $20 becomes $40, $50, $100, but $100 becomes $200. That's instant playable site money. None of that slow drip. None of this play through it 8 times and withdraw for Bitcoin nonsense. You know what I mean? So check them out. And we've been serving content every day. It's been a lot of fun. Luka for DFS has a real shot at being the highest raw point scorer on the slate. He may get lost in the shadows of a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Similar price point, standard deviation. Could move the needle here, move the needle there. We've seen Luka in games that stay competitive. Luka's been given us 60, 70 fantasy points. So I could certainly see that being the case today. Maybe building a little bit backwards, right? People are going to start with like Raul Neto and guys like that. Luka certainly has a shot to drop you 60, 70 here against the Clippers. Drop 65 in a game where they smoked the Pistons by 30, right? So if we get closer to 40 minutes in a competitive game and the spread kind of gives us that opportunity, being just 6.5, definitely think Luka could be one of the better DFS plays, but I love that assist prop on PrizePicks. Jalen Brunson on Fanduel 5,900. I think he should be second on the team in real points. I'm getting a mid-30 fantasy point projection, high 30s, so I like him as well, especially that Fanduel price point. I think on DK, Gary Trent easily is the snap call between the two, but I think on Fanduel, I'm getting some implied value. And in this front court, we'll see if Kleber earns a spot back in the starting lineup. But if not, we've been seeing DFS and Dwight Powell the last game or two as their front court. And then the Clippers trading away Serge Ibaka. Lately, we've seen Zubac mixed in with Harden-Simmons. So Harden-Simmons, much like we mentioned Kelly Olynyk, he's under 4K on DraftKings, right around that same price point. And if he's going to get some run here, he has been... I call him Baby Jokic. He's Jokic-ish, not Jokic, right? He's been a little bit of a monster. So I like to see him get some elongated minutes, 28 minutes against Memphis, 39 fantasy points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. So anytime you see 20-plus minutes for Hartenstein, usually it's attached to a really good fantasy number. And if that's going to be the case in life without Serge Ibaka, certainly would be interested in having some exposure to Hartenstein in deeper field tournaments. So that's where I'm at on that. The Clippers as a team, we're still looking for numbers to develop, but Marcus Morris, Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson, all priced. We're at individual vacuums, right? They can all exceed value and be great tournament plays. But I would still probably feel better if I let that play out a little bit more. And then I think at all these price points, I can find pivots that I'm likelier to like elsewhere. But the Clippers have been active in this trade deadline, and in the couple of games with Norman Powell, if we bring up the Clippers, against Memphis. Memphis is a tough defense, by the way, so I can't be overly results orientated or results oriented. They didn't play any of the starters in the fourth quarter. Game got really, really lopsided, and we saw mid 20s, low 20s. So most of the starters were probably on pace to play 30 minutes apiece. And then against Milwaukee, another game where it got lopsided by 20 points. Starters barely touched the floor in the fourth quarter. So hard to project what they do as a fully healthy team today, and I want to see a little bit more minutes. And right now, I got just no confidence at planting over 30 minutes on anyone specifically. So I'm probably just gonna avoid them for the most part and hope on this slate that's not gonna burn me because I'm not getting massive projections. You know what I mean? 7 turnovers. The next Philly at Brooklyn game will get more watches than the Super Bowl. If Simmons can play right away, I think it was in March, so that definitely would be a very fun game to watch, right? Mox says, I want to see a Nets versus 76ers playoff. Kyrie can't play at home. Ben can't play in Philly. How you feel about Drew PRA? We'll get into that game coming up, but I think that game should be real fun to watch for a real life standpoint, and then for DFS, it would be fun to move some needles. Team Underground says, PrizePicks show definitely helps with my DFS, and love that you do it in the order that you do. Man, I appreciate that. Is PrizePicks available in South Carolina? We got a bunch of people who believe sports betting is the devil. Maybe. I think PrizePicks has been, and it's not 100% here, but they've been largely available in states that allow fantasy DFS. I think we got some people in the Discord that are from South Carolina. Isn't Lorenza? Isn't he from Carolina? So maybe, but don't quote me on that. I guess we can Google that. I know they just opened up in Virginia. PrizePicks states allowed. I don't know. We'll Google that. So if you guys are out there from Virginia, you didn't know that PrizePicks is allowed in Virginia. So it looks like South Carolina is allowed. So if you're going to sign up, use code GUNDACKER. And if you're one of these states and you didn't know that you could play PrizePicks, well, you can. And they can double your first deposit. They've been rapidly evolving product-wise as well. Kyrie's going to be able to play at home and when it's changing the COVID rules. Hopefully. You feel like something eventually is going to give in that situation. Or they just full on adopt the NFL COVID doesn't exist mantra in the playoffs, right? Notice no one got COVID in the playoffs, huh? Kyrie's going to be able to play at home. Yeah, I meant to ask, would you play Kuzma or Siakam with no VanVleet? Would I play Kuzma or Siakam? I'd probably want Siakam just because of the pace and the matchup being what it is, and it's a little bit more guaranteed. But I don't think it's crazy to see like a similar range of outcomes for them. Kuzma's probably going to project as a better points per dollar play, but I mean Siakam 40 minutes against the Houston Rockets, that could be 60 fantasy points waiting to happen. So I will have a lot of overlap between the two. Noah is from South Carolina. He plays PrizePicks. Noah, DFS GOAT. Noah. That's good to know. I thought he was from that area. Shout out to Noah. Harden-Stein bump with no Ibaka. Yes, Josh, for sure. Promo code is Gundacker. Yeah, it's Gundacker, and or you can just, if you use here this link in chat, I'll put it. You click on that, it'll automatically enter it for you. Dylan Brooks likely out. Why isn't PrizePicks available in Arizona when sports gambling and DFS are legal in the state? I don't know what the rules on that, John. I think some states you have to pay an operating licensing fee. And sometimes it may not be worth the fee versus the profits that they might project in that state. Some states have a number of licenses, such as Florida. And we've seen that the people in charge of giving those licenses might rather just pay the fine, so on and so forth. It gets really political and weird. So I don't know the one-to-one reason for Arizona specifically, but I do know generally there's a process to obtain a license to operate, right? They don't just hit legal and then you can operate. You usually have to have a license within the state and go on from there. A lot of money involved, What do you got projected for more fantasy points? Butler or Irving is a significant difference. I'm gonna say Irving. I have Irving for 50, Butler at 42. So yeah, probably significant. Certainly a range of outcomes if we consider ceiling. Butler has triple double potential, but the higher median in my model is leaning Irving pretty aggressively. Harry should go off, play 41 minutes last game, lost minutes to a blowout. Yeah. I don't care. Arizona got everything at least. Yeah, if I had sports betting, I wouldn't be too concerned about other stuff. We want to get on PrizePicks. John, if you have access to sports books, right? And if you can play the DK Sportsbook app or the Fanduel Sportsbook app, you can basically like mimic what we do on PrizePicks. A lot of the PrizePicks lines are still mirroring the average line from the sports book. Maybe they juice them a little bit more. But you could still parlay them. You could bet them 1-to-1. I'm waiting for the day my state opens. So I've strongly considered moving out to another state just to get access to sports betting. But if you have access to a sports book and a decent app like DraftKings or FanDuel, I don't think you're missing out. Knicks at the Warriors. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Knicks. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, Alec Burks, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson up against Steph Curry, Moses Moody, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Looney. We got 217.5 total. 9-point spread in favor of the Golden State Warriors. Warriors kind of got dominated last night in Utah. Tonight, they will have Klay Thompson. Klay rested last night, and it looks like probably wouldn't have Otto, right? I think Otto rested or played last night or played last night to rest today. They tend to hold him out on back-to-backs. We only played 15 minutes last night, so I don't know. We'll see if that matters. No Draymond, no Iguodala, probably no Porter, maybe no Bielisa. He's missed a decent stretch for them as well. I think Steph Curry, last night maybe let some people down. I think tonight I'm willing to get to a little bit of Steph on FanDuel. Again, at the 10K price point, Luka's right there. You feel like the median range of outcome and even the ceilings, Luka's going to win the floor battle, and their ceilings could be pretty consistent as well. So you just probably end up at Luka at that price range. Klay Thompson, I think on PrizePicks is an interesting talking point. They set his line at 2.5 threes, I believe. 2.5 threes. We know his usage rate on the court right now with Steph is still pretty high. They feed him. And, in Golden State, they love getting him his shots up. And he'll be one of the fresher legs on the court. 8, 9, 8, 8, 9 threes. So the guy's going to get, 8 to 10 plus shot attempts, especially against a Knicks team that allows a decent chunk of three-pointers made while restricting points in the paint. So I do like the 2.5 3 prop on Klay Thompson for PrizePicks, and I believe they were slowly increasing his minutes limit. I think we saw 30 minutes potential last game. So I think that 2.5 3 prop on Klay Thompson looks really, really nice. On the Knicks side, they did not make any last-minute moves. Julius Randle is part of this team, and Randle's coming off a really respectable stretch on this rigorous road trip for the Warriors, right? That Denver game, night 2 of a back-to-back after Utah game 3 and 4 nights, and the first game was a overtime game. I mean, he's dropped 58, 66, and even at 45 is easier said than done. And we've seen the Warriors really struggle against bigs in life without Draymond, and I think Randle has a tournament outcome that could continue this hot streak that he's been on. We saw Hassan Whiteside win a lot of people money last night. 5-7 blocks out of him on top of just having a solid game. So I don't think it's a crazy spot for Randle. Big field tournaments, I don't think I get to him in short field. That price point, that's Siakam, a little bit more than Kuzma, guys like that. But there's certainly a range of outcome where Randle offers another strong tournament output, right? Mitchell Robinson, maybe he capitalizes. The curtain calls the block party that Whiteside through last night. 56 on DK. Maybe something we can get behind. He still has an official Q tag on him with a back injury, but we'll see. I think Randall's the bulk of my interest, and then outside of Randall, would have been RJ Barrett, because Barrett's been playing nearly 40 minutes. But guess what? RJ Barrett out tonight, so let's do some usage fluctuations and see what we might expect. Does this further support this small inclination on potential Julius Randle interest? Maybe, potentially. RJ. I did the Macho Man thing. Oh yeah, Julius Randle. Do you have any underdog fantasy? They have props. I haven't played underdog. And I don't have anything set up with them now. Some companies in my DMs right now. Yeah, that's not underdog though. Play threes probably should be a lock. Yeah, I like that, John, for sure. What up, Lil J Rod? Same here. Where are you from, Gun? I'm from Ohio. Same way for the books too. I'm in Texas right now. We just passed the sports betting law, but it won't take effect. I don't even know if Texas has anything in the pipeline that's reasonable to expect in the next couple of years. But Texas has been evolving. And I think for states that haven't been progressive, we'll say, they'll be able to look at these other states and immediately see the benefits. But I do worry about Texas caring to an extent because they don't have any state tax, right? So I guess they could just charge a fee. I don't know. I like Fanduel Sportsbook over DK. Yeah, Gun, do you have Gun? Who do you have for more points, Irving or Giannis? I'm pretty sure it's Giannis, but it's Giannis. I got Giannis by almost 10 over Irving. But anytime you can get Giannis in a full game, which that game they're actually underdogs, Giannis is going to project extremely well, and he's not as scoring dependent as Kyrie is. 141 more likes. All right, chat. Well, old Damron, right? Damron recently became the largest D of the month so far. Last week, he went into retirement on Saturday, right? And apparently he is willing to come out of retirement and be a fixture back in the Discord after a hard couple of days off. But his requirement is 200 likes on this video. So we got 240 plus of the realest OGs and YouTube DFS with 60 likes. So if you guys want to see Damron officially unretire, and get his big D swinging around here, hit that thumbs up, get Damron out of here. And then if you just want to be great, 200 likes would also set a live stream like goal. Now, the other day, a video got over 200 likes, but a lot of that, like 10 of those, 11, 12 of those happened after the live stream. So I'm trying to count the live info. So if we break that, we'd also break a record. So you can get Damron out of retirement and be great and break a record. It was earlier before Fred got rolled out. Yeah. Thomas Bryant overs on PrizePicks. Let's rock. Let's go, KJ. I don't mind that. I'm still skeptical of Thomas Bryant's minutes, because I don't think that was we got to get Montrezl Harrell minutes situation. I think that was Thomas Bryant's recovering from a ridiculous injury, and we want to not push him too hard, From Ohio as well, Gun. We're in Ohio. Shout out. I'm not from Ohio. I was reading in chat. I'm from New York, obviously, but I live in Texas now. Little J-Ron is from Ohio. So anyway, Klay Thompson on PrizePicks. I don't mind that. Andrew Wiggins at 6'2", 64. I've been just kind of peppering that into some lineups and getting 30 plus fantasy points and letting it ride. On the Knicks side, we were looking at Randall's benefit without RJ Barrett. Death Cab for Dorian. I appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. So without RJ Barrett, Julius Randle has a 29% usage rate, 24% assist rate, over a fantasy point per minute. Talked about the boost in matchup against the depleted front court of the Warriors. So yeah, maybe Randle is a sneaky tournament play. It's hard to like him at his price point versus anything else, but sure. And then Alec Burks, if if we're gonna replace RJ Barrett, what are we replacing? We're replacing 38 minutes of competitive game time, right? So Alec Burks might get some forward run. You might see some extra shots for Fournier. Do we get extra minutes for Kemba Walker, who is right there at that Raul Neto price range? Not even, he's more expensive, significantly more expensive than Neto on DK, but at 4K on FanDuel, how often does Kemba Walker outscore Raul Neto? I don't want to do it. But there's a thinking point, I guess. But I think the bulk of my interest is going to be Wiggins, and then I'll get to a little bit of Steph. But I think that price range, I'll just easily get to Luka all the same. And Golden State, pretty sizable home favorites here at 9 points. So that's what we got. We got a big game as our main event tonight, though. So I'm excited for this one from a real life standpoint. John says Rui gets Harrell's minutes. I would expect Rui and Kyle Kuzma to have to play a lot of front court minutes, a lot. And Rui doesn't seem to be on a limit. He was just, waiting his turn in line, where Bryant feels like he's on a specific cap. And then they have Anthony Gill as well. But I think Rui would be the big one, right? Main event tonight. Before we dive into that, we'll take a pause for the cause and talk about a RunDFS.com membership. If you guys want to hang out with me up until lock today, I'll be in the RunDFS.com NBA voice chat. Looking a little something like this. By the way, shout out to Underdog. They just tweeted Wizards available players. Danny Avdija, Avdija, I would say Avdija, KCP, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Thomas Bryant, Hachimura, Raul Neto, Gill, Isaiah Todd, Cassius Winston. So I guess there is some point guard depth. And you could have told me this was a baseball lineup. Yeah, all right. If you guys want to hang out with me in the Discord, I'll be in the voice chat before lock right here. This little bling, I'm in there. Yeah. And then we'll hang out till lock. A little bit after lock, talking some NBA, making some player pools. I make my player pool, and then of course tweak projections as we get into lock. Go to RunDFS.com. Click VIP memberships. If you need some testimonials, there's a couple of them. I mean, it doesn't get more testimonial than this $1 million. But he's done that twice. Week pass, 2 week pass, month pass, all-star special, and then a year pass still up there. Each pass comes with built-in voucher towards a Fantasy Cruncher subscription, extra utility, so you can rebate it down. This $539 year pass special minus $150. You rebate the Cruncher voucher, man. That's an incredible value. So come be part of that. We'd love to have you, and just become part of the community, man. That PrizePicks channel is becoming pretty popular. Milwaukee Bucks up against the Phoenix Suns. Project starting five for the Bucks: Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bobby Portis taking on Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and DeAndre Ayton. We got a 233 total, a 3-point spread. Favor the home team Phoenix Suns. So let's see if there's been any movement on this number, because it's rare to see the Bucks as a underdog, right? No, still 3-point spread here. So Phoenix Suns, in my estimate, I think these might be the two best teams in basketball, at least as of today, right? So let's enjoy it. 10 p.m. late night hammers. So what do we like here? Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo is very easy to get to today with all this Wizards value, right? I think that'll be a trendy approach. And he's implied for amongst the most fantasy points on the slate. So if raw points are going to win a slate because of so much value, we get behind that. Somebody had asked about Drew Holiday, Middleton. I think they're both fine. We'll kind of spin the wheel, make a deal on them. Maybe tier 3. Bobby Portis, close to 7K, but still close enough to 6K where I'm going to have more than I want. And then on the Suns side, we talked about this on the PrizePicks show, and anytime you guys hear me talk about the Bucks restrict points in the paint at such a high level that they funnel offense to the long ball, right? They give up a bottom 4 amount of points in the paint per game while allowing the most points per game via the 3 ball. So if we put a little less steam on Ayton's offense and a little bit more steam on Devin Booker's offense, Booker might be in a spot to chuck 20, 30 shots, and maybe a lot of those are from downtown. And we know when he's on the court with Chris Paul, with DeAndre Ayton, he leads the triangle in usage with over 30%. And I'll get you the actual numbers if you guys want to. And then Chris Paul without Cameron Payne in competitive games, you would expect 40 minutes out of him, right? That's what we've been kind of seeing. So I like a lot of floor to ceiling outcomes and ranges of outcomes from this game. Chris Paul has a 18.7% usage rate in this split, a 41% assist rate. Devin Booker almost a 30% usage rate, and then DeAndre Ayton 21% usage rate. Where the center is always going to project a little bit better than the others, but in this split, I think we can really tilt some action towards Devin Booker. And if you're on PrizePicks, there's a couple lines we like here as well. If you missed out, Jay Antonio, appreciate the sub. Welcome to the channel. Devin Booker's real point prop is at 28.5. Matter of fact, let's just put Suns. And then Chris Paul's assist prop was at 11. So, right, those feel aggressive, but 233 total in a tight game. Definitely could see him hitting the over here. And then I think one of our favorite props has been Mikal Bridges' PRA. This is something he keeps clearing. I don't know if there's a glitch that they can't price him over 21.5 PRA. The only game he hasn't cleared this was against Washington. And in Washington, he played like 26 minutes versus 40 in a competitive game. Washington was a game that they ran him out the gym. Yeah, just 26 minutes. He's going to play full minutes here. 40 minutes is a reasonable expectation. And if we talk about how the Suns have to score via the three ball, well, Bridges can shoot 4-7, 3-point attempts from downtown. 20 real points is not an outlandish expectation. It's probably a little aggressive, but all things considered, 21.5 PRA seems kind of low for 40 minutes of Mikal Bridges and a 230 total against one of the faster paced games. So I like that on the PrizePicks spectrum as well. So a lot to like here. Milwaukee traded away Dante DiVincenzo. Grayson Allen is questionable. Let's see. Do we have any leans here? Oh, he's probable. Excuse me. Grayson Allen's probable, but they did trade away Dante DiVincenzo. George Hill is out. So we might get a few extra minutes of Grayson Allen at 4,500. And then Pat Connaughton, 6-man here, right? Off the bench. Could we get 25 plus minutes of him? We saw him play 28 minutes against the Clippers. He started that game. And then, let's see. Let's pull up Milwaukee's last couple games. Bobby birthday narrative. Yeah, Josh is not letting that one rest, huh? And then Pat Connaughton was first man off the bench against the Lakers. So Pat Connaughton could see 25 minutes as perhaps a late night hammer candidate himself at really, really cheap. Now, I don't want to play will Pat Connaughton outscore Raul Neto often, but it is closer in price to maybe make it happen, Let's get caught up on chat here. 87 likes, man. 200. One time for the Damrot. Bengals in the house. Hude, what up, Mr. Crypto? Brooklyn in the house. Oh, we're doing roll call out here. Let's go. It is fun to see where you guys are from. I sometimes it humbles me, but it amazes me at the same time to hear the different where you guys are from. So hey, rep your city, man. Where you guys at? Where you guys watching, listening from? I know sometimes a couple of you guys have said that you listen to me in the shop, the barber shop, put me in the headphones in the car or whatever. That's awesome. But just to see so many people from so many walks of life from all over the country, all have the same interests, man. That's so that's incredible to me. Crowder over 5.5 rebounds. You think so? Maybe. Smashing Giannis is a lot. I think Giannis is going to be implied for so many fancy points that with so much implied value here. If he leads the slate, even if it's an ugly lead the slate, you probably are going to want to get him a lot, right? Johnson, CP3 or Kyrie. I think that's actually a good 1v1. I'm probably gonna have more Kyrie than CP3, but I actually don't have him that different in projection, to be honest. I have Paul at 50 and 46, Fanduel and DK respectively. That might be backwards. That actually sounds backwards. And then I have 50 and 47. So they're almost essentially the same play to me right now. And if you just think you get more out of a 230 total, go for it, right? Is Drew Holiday enough to push back on that? Yeah, maybe. But I have him as the same play. So I might have equal exposure to each. I feel like I might get more Kyrie than Chris Paul, though. A little bit. What about everyone game logging Giannis versus Suns though? I didn't even consider that. I usually don't care about that, but is it good or bad? Giannis Antetokounmpo, DKP by game log versus Suns last 10 games. I know the Suns are live to trap the other team's best offensive guy, 60 plus. 52 is his floor game in his last 5 games against the Suns. So yeah, I mean, if you're memeing the game log, the game log looks great, but it also looks like it's a playoff series, right? So you gotta put more context. Playoff series are like 6-7 man rotations, right? Expect a little bit closer to 35 minutes, maybe. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't get too sold on the last couple games because this is a playoff series, and it went Dallas, Tucson, Wisconsin. Let's go. I know a couple of Wisconsin. My boy Logan from Wisconsin. Yeah, that's awesome. As long as there's no blowout, game script pusher. But yeah, I think that game looks pretty competitive. I don't know what to expect from that Nets and Wizards game. To be honest, I honestly, I'm not shocked is a big word here, but Wizards being favorited with such a short rotation seems wild. But I guess the Brooklyn's so short. But Kyrie, Patty Mills should be able to score almost at will. I don't know, man. That feels weird to me. Kyrie plus Giannis stacks. I think that'll be one of the more trendier picks. I think I'm gonna prioritize the 40 minutes of Raptors against the Rockets and not forget Gospel. And we might have some really strong balance lineups out there to be had too. But yeah, yesterday Crowder rebound smash stack. Let's go. Totals can be garbage. Look at the Bulls Hornets. What do you mean? The Bulls went all the way off, and LaMelo Ball led the slate in fantasy points. I definitely don't think that was garbage. The Bulls, you needed what? You could have played DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic yesterday and made a lot of money. So I don't think that's garbage. If everyone's priced at to the gills, I could see that, but I think that's a weird example. Tonight I got a good one. Anunoby over 5.5 rebounds. I like that audio. I mean, I don't think there's any Raptors call that you guys can make that I would not be on. Like, I think it all makes sense against the Houston Rockets. Bismack and Javal should send a strong message to Giannis tonight. That's what he's gonna get hammered when he goes to the lane. Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't expect. I don't know. Giannis would just draw fouls. Giannis has been shooting a lot of free throws lately. Columbus in the house. What up, Jeff? What Bembry minutes look like, and is he a okay value play? I probably get 30 minutes on Bembry, right? I got 24 right now. Cam Thomas. Honestly, I don't know that I'm super done with Nets projections right now, but I guess 24 to 30 minutes would be the expectation. As far as being a good value play, I feel like if he's a strong value play, it's done via peripherals. I don't expect him to be a big catalyst in scoring. So I think okay is a good term, but I think we can find better, and probably find better in that same game on the other team. Cade is doubtful, so yeah, with Cade Cunningham out, it makes that game probably less likely to stay close, right? It's already 11-point spread, and then you probably get Ham Diallo in the starting lineup. So you guys mentioned Kelly Olynyk, right? They traded away Trey Lyles. If the game does get lopsided, Kelly Olynyk just might go out there and have some fun, and he's really cheap. And I think he might be a fun nugget for deep field tournaments at 3,700. We know his point per minute production can stand out. We love and appreciate you, man. I love you guys. You guys are the best. What up, Arizona Drama? Kyrie's a money cheaper on FanDuel. Is it significant? Are you talking about Kyrie versus Chris Paul? 94 versus Chris Paul at 95. $100. It really doesn't matter. Essentially the same. I got Isaiah Stewart over 8.5 rebounds before it went up to. That's a good call. Any other news here from Underdog? Kid Cunningham now doubtful. Yep. Cool. That's why the Suns signed Biz to use up his fouls and be physical. Yeah, and like I said, the Suns have shown a history of like trapping high usage guys from the other team. Maybe they try that with Giannis, but I don't think like the Bucks are so spread out that can only work for so long. That works for like Steph Curry when he's the only guy, or like Trae Young. I think Giannis is so multifaceted, five-tool player, if you will, that I don't know that's the approach here. So yeah, lots to like, lots to dislike. Chat, what are we doing? You guys got some questions, comments, concerns, plays that I didn't hit on that you guys want to throw at me? Am I sleeping on somebody? Let me know. Got a little bit of time here, maybe 10 minutes to spare. If you guys haven't already, if you're trickling in here, if you don't mind, hit that thumbs up. Almost at 100, 280 of you guys. Would love to see 200 sooner or later, right? We got the record at 189 a couple days back. I don't think we're gonna hit the viewer. We're not gonna touch the viewer thing for a while, but we can always break that record because there's way more than 189 of you guys. So be great, hit that thumbs up, and if you get 200 of them, sounds like Damron will officially unretire. So there's that. Let's go pull up the on-off court tool on the Pistons if you guys really want to see what kind of impact the absence of Cunningham might have here. We'll put Sadiq Bey, Grant, and perhaps I'm assuming Diallo, right? The Magruder start didn't really go great, so I'm assuming they're gonna keep with Diallo, and 77 minutes of these guys on the court without Cunningham. Usage rate is Diallo, then Grant, then Bey, with Bey having a 32% assist rate. Is that right? Has Bey been dishing it like that last couple games? 6-3. I just don't think I get to any Pistons here, but let me do our due diligence, get those numbers right. Brunson over 17.5 real points. Yeah, I think he'll be second on the team, if not first, in real points. I know we saw Reggie Bullock start last game. Will they keep that going? Will they put Clayball back in the front court? Possibly, but I think Brunson should be second. As a matter of fact, we'll just look at Brunson's last couple games. Brunson without Hardaway, without Porzingis, certainly feels like double-digit shot attempts. 26 minutes against Detroit. It was a blowout, so we might get closer to 30 minutes, 35 minutes. This game stays close. 30 minutes against Atlanta. 5 fouls. Him and Luka were in big foul trouble. And each game of his last 4, he's cleared at 17.5. So if 17.5 feels good, especially if you believe this game to be a little bit closer, right? Dallas is favored by 6.5, so it leaves the door open for 35 plus minutes of Brunson in competitive game script. Doug says Kelly's in over 50% of my lineups. That price is so cheap on him. I think it's a really strong. Like Olynyk may not have been off limits if Trey Lyles was in. Let's look at Pistons last couple games against the Mavericks. Trey Lyles was the first man off with Olynyk, so he played a lot of. Matter of fact, almost all of Olynyk's minutes were coinciding with Trey Lyles, so maybe it's not as big of a boost as we're giving it credit to be. Yeah, Olynyk, Trey Lyles, Olynyk, Trey Lyles. Like there's a couple of minutes here, but it looks like most of Olynyk's minutes are alongside Trey Lyles. Maybe we just tilt more usage towards Trey Lyles. Maybe we give a couple more minutes to Isaiah Stewart as well, huh? Something to keep an eye on. Jeremy Grant could stretch out. So I think it's obviously not a bad thing for Olynyk that Trey Lyles isn't on the team, but I didn't think it was like they're dang near handcuffed to each other when Lyles is on the court. So maybe it's not as strong of a boost, but still not a bad spot, What up, Sleazy? Top prize picks you're looking at? So off the top of my head for prize picks, first of all, the Raptors, right? I love a lot about the Raptors. Gary Trent Jr. fantasy points feels like my favorite at 33. I got him at 40. We've seen him start at point and put up 30 real points in the absence of VanVleet. It's the Rockets, and the Rockets allow the most steals per game. Gary Trent averages over two steals per game. Siakam assists feels kind of low at 6.5. He has like a 25% assist rate without VanVleet, but anything Raptors against the Rockets stands out. Kyrie Irving has over a 30% assist rate in this split without Harden, without Kevin Durant. So 6.5 assists seems kind of light for him, so I don't mind that. We mentioned Klay Thompson, 2.5 threes. He's probably going to chuck 8 to 10 threes here. Didn't play last night, so 2.5 feels like a number we can get behind. McCall Bridges, PRA, stands out for me at 21.5, a number he's cleared pretty comfortably. And the outlier being the 19 and 26 minutes against Washington in games that stay competitive. He's playing 40 minutes, so you add 16 minutes because there you get there. So those are some at the top of my head. They put up Wizards numbers again. Okay, so we can maybe jump on some of these Wizards numbers. 8.5 rebounds. They didn't move Kuzma's rebounds. And Kuzma has some big rebound potential without Montrezl Harrell, without Gafford. A lot of minutes here. Brooklyn's pretty undersized. Did Kuzma have like a 20 rebound game against Brooklyn? I want to say maybe that was Toronto I'm thinking of. But Kuzma's rebounds seem kind of light. Kyle Kuzma, let's go DKP by game log. Let's just go without Bradley Beal, but last 10 games. I feel like rebounds is pretty light on Kuzma. Or really just any number I can get behind. Probably expect him to be top 1, top 2 on the team in overall usage. Probably easily top 1. And then probably top 1 on the team in minutes, right? So I like most of this Kuzma stuff. 35 fantasy points for Kuzma is really low. So I will probably lean on Kuzma 35 over. So you can add that to the mix. It's probably the one that I like the most. And then KCP numbers and Thomas Bryant numbers have been put up. Thomas Bryant's at 16 fantasy points. Again, my only quarrel is I don't think he benefits from these trades because I think he's on a leash. But that's interesting. I like the Kuzma fantasy points. Brian, appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. Any pivots off of Grant on Fanduel? I mean, I wasn't really on Grant, so but I guess we're just talking price wise. Let's see. Let's go to the player projections. What are you looking for? Like 6K salary reprieve? We can just sort it. I guess the most obvious thing that comes to mind is probably Bobby Portis, right? Detroit for Grant is at 61 or 52. Oh, 52 is a lot significantly cheaper. I don't know. That probably just restructures stuff. Maybe Sengun against the Raptors. Sengun inserted in the starting lineup. They don't have Daniel Tice. Obviously, they have Kenyon Martin. They can still get pretty annoying with their rotation. But Sengun, I'll say Jeremy Grant is kind of cheap. But he wasn't on my radar. So, yeah. Gun, you like Jimmy Buckets over 19.5 and Triple J over 17.5. Real points. Jimmy's a little uncomfortable just because that team is so well spread out. I wouldn't push back on it, but I don't know if I want to absorb that risk in like a parlay setting. And then Jerry Jackson Jr., that game could be over pretty quickly with the level that the Grizzlies have been playing. But those numbers make sense. So if you had a better feeling in your bad knee than mine, I think they're fine. But they're not something that's on my short list. Yo, Adam, appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. Still really like Portis points 14 plus. I think the Portis 3-point prop, right? If we wanted to get into some Portis action, his 3-point prop is at 1.5, and not most of them, but a decent chunk of his shot attempts will be from behind the arc. They love chucking threes. 9, 5, 8, 5, 3, right? 5. So we need him to make 2, right? If he can hit 2 of his 5, 6, 7 birthday narrative for those of you guys that enjoy that. What does the DVP say about threes against the Suns from the center spot? It's nothing. It's down here, bottom 10. Anyway, I don't mind the 3-point prop though, right? Yo, my boy, my producer up in the chat. Shout out to Awesome Yo. Which side is better, FanDuel or DK? I think that's always subjective to the players. I think the general opinion is that DraftKings is more aesthetically pleasing on the eye. I am more profitable on FanDuel for NBA. I like them both for baseball. I like DK more for NFL just because PPR is king and I love bonuses. But for me, I tend to do more on FanDuel. But I think I don't think that's a fact. That's going to be an opinion, right? So for me, it's FanDuel. You know, if OddsShopper updates its win percentage for props based on the trades, I would assume so, John. I can't speak for certain because I don't have anything to do with what goes into OddsShopper. But from my understanding, OddsShopper comes straight from Alex's projections, and I know his projections are pretty fluid and reactive to news and stuff. So I would assume the answer is yes, but I would encourage you to reach out to an Osmo rep or an OddsShopper rep. Is Bane a good play today? Marty, which one? Trent? I think we can. So how about this? If you guys want to compromise with me, I'm worried about 3-quarter Memphis game here. Maybe we cut that game in half for PrizePicks, right? Detroit has one of the worst offensive ratings in basketball, and I got respect for this Grizzlies defense. So whenever I'm worried about a game being lopsided and only getting 3 quarters, maybe we look at first half props for Memphis, right? John Morant, 22.5 fantasy points, 13.5 real points. Somebody mentioned Jaren Jackson, 8.5 points. And he's a big block guy. You know, those +3s add up really quickly in PrizePicks and FanDuel. Maybe we chop the game in half and attack some of those numbers. Then maybe I can get behind you, you know? Hartenstein or Kelly Ogun? That's close. Probably Hardenstein, but that's close. Probably Hardenstein. Let's see what my projections. I have almost 30 fantasy points on Hart. I gotta do a sweep here, but Hardenstein with no Ibaka in the mix. But I guess Hardenstein can also be attached to benefiting from some blowouts. I don't know that this game blows out, but the last 2 games, the Clippers lost the fourth quarter and essentially gave it to Hardenstein. But I guess there's no Ibaka in the middle. So Hardenstein, he was involved in the first game, but he probably got maybe like 5 more minutes than they probably wanted to give him. And then the game prior against the Bucks, Hartenstein closed the game, and then Ibaka was active that game and played 18. So, Jesus H, that's close, bro. That's probably a coin flip. I'm thinking the matchup. If Kleber starts, I like Hartenstein coming off the bench against not Kleber. That's close. That's too close for comfort. I'm probably gonna lean Hardenstein, sell out for ceiling, but I like them both. What up, Damien? Just traded Bobby Portis and Chris Duarte. Got in return Kelly Oubre and Josh Giddey. Feeling good today. Man, they said Josh Giddey's going to be on like a 30-minute limit. I don't know how long it's going to be, but considering the Thunder might just be tanking, something to be careful about. But Giddey, for season long, where it's category based, I think Giddey's a good little stocking stuffer. And Kelly Oubre, depending on how long Hayward's going to be out, he could fill up some points and some threes, right? You like Gary Trent or OG? I'll have more Gary Trent than OG for sure. On FanDuel, Morant or Luka in cash or tournament? Luka, like almost snap call, but that's only because I got that game being a little bit more competitive than the Morant game. And Luka in competitive games is live to drop 60, 70 fantasy points. What up, Malcolm? What about Rui? Yeah, Rui Hachimura will probably get more minutes than Thomas Bryant, and I don't think he's on a restriction. So if we just give him Montrezl Harrell opportunities, I think Anthony Gill's in the picture, but I think Rui Hachimura is probably the most likely to play like 30 minutes if he comes off the bench for the Wizards, which he probably should. So I think he'll look like a good value play. Best center play today, Pascal Siakam. I guess Giannis, but I don't know. Siakam for me is the more of the guy that I would put in the center spot than Giannis. Giannis, I tend to get to more forward spot, but Siakam can give you 50-60 against the Rockets, giving you 50 plus in 4 straight. I mean, 40 minutes against the Houston Rockets, bro. That's what we do, right? Thoughts on the Harden-Simmons trade? I think it's good for both sides. Yeah, that's me. It's good for both sides. I don't have any egregious takes on it, right? I don't like to choose who win, who lost. I think they both mutually benefited as best as they possibly could in the situation that they were in. Hey, we might any chance having issues with the internet? I am not. I am hungry. Feel like Rui and Kispert are going overlooked slightly. I haven't looked at ownership projections. Kispert's one of those guys that I just don't have the warm and fuzzies. We've seen him start a few times. Rui could be. I guess we could look at last year. Rui, I like him more if he plays like 5. Remember, it kind of reminds me of like PJ Washington last year, where he was playing a little bit more forward. I was a little less interested, but if he's going to pick up some center minutes here, I'm in. And the Nets play so small that it could just be, or it could play so small if Claxton's out. Let's go Rui Hachimura DKP by game log with 30 minutes. Let's go last 15, last 50 games to get us some sample here. So the last couple games for Rui Hachimura to get some actual minutes. Still a wide range of outcomes, right? We'd like to see the 30 pluses, but if you get high 20s, I think the dog will hunt. So I'm in on that. Since Kelly O was a coin flip. Diallo at 5,700 or McCall Bridges at 61 on FanDuel. Man, probably Bridges, but I just have I Bridges for 40 minutes of opportunity and a 230 total, right? I don't think he's gonna be top 4 in usage, but 30 fantasy points. It might be a grind to get there, but man, you are getting me with the tough ones today, bro. That one, yeah. Can I get something easy? Give me freaking Luka versus Kemba Walker or something, man. You guys are really stretching me. Şengün and Hartenstein. I'm playing one lineup, just trying to get different. Thanks for the answers, bro. I appreciate that. Şengün's in a tougher matchup defensively than Hartenstein perceptually, and I think Hartenstein, like I said, Hartenstein's got a skill set that can stuff the stat sheet, even if it isn't just rebounds. He can score, he can get assists. So I'm a little bit more privy to Hartenstein. And if Şengün's starting in for the Rockets again today, a little more volatility with sharing the court with Wood and Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, guys like that. And we still don't know if Eric Gordon's going to play, right? You like Brunson over 4.5 assists on FanDuel? I'd probably stick more to Brunson real points here, but 4.5 assists would be below his season average, so I guess it's possible. Maybe Jay Tate at 53 over Diallo and Bridges. God dang, John, you're killing me. Tate. I probably want Bridges. I think Bridges give me 40 minutes. Hornets got a steal for Harrell. I like Montrezl Harrell's skill set. He is like if the Hornets were a center, that would be Montrezl Harrell. You know what I mean? Fast pace, run and gun, no defense. Perfect fit. Perfect fit. Bucks trade for Ibaka still too. I like it. Yeah, I think I was gonna pick up for them. These are just so with decisions like that, John, man, that's why I'm a scumbag and I'll multi-enter. But where are we at? We gotta get out of here, chat. I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord up until lock. You guys want to hang out with me? Hopefully I can get some grub. If you want to hit that thumbs up on your way out, I would sorely appreciate it. Otherwise, man, you guys crushed it. Happy trade day. Where are we at on subs? Subs, we got up to 64.20. Dog, we got like almost 20 new subs during this stream. Man, that's love. If you guys have a sub, that red sub button's lit up. Hit that for me, man. We are on the grind for 7K. And it means a lot that you guys are taking over the way that you are, right? Any love for Grimes? Quentin Grimes? I didn't have him in my short list here. If you're giving him a benefit from no RJ Barrett, I guess. But no, I don't have any. Is he for sure playing? Grimes. Knee available? I guess he's available, but no, I don't think we have to get that cute. But I guess that's trying to win 100K. Sure, that type of play might come through for you. You know, Fournier night, maybe, man. Hey, tomorrow 2 p.m. Eastern, the PrizePicks stream. 3 p.m. Eastern, the DFS stream. We're gonna close out the week strong. We might be back Saturday actually. Let me double check on that. But I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Twitter.com/Gundacker. If you got anything else for me, I love you guys so much. Appreciate you making part of your day and part of my day come together. Have a good day. That's dumb. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.